Welcome to the Danger Zone. Mis amigos, you're back with Senior TMZ, and y'all already know what time it is. If you don't know, it's Wrestlemania V, and I just cannot wait to jump headfirst into this WrestleMania card. Thank you for joining me, and let's get right into it. Again, thanks for dropping by. This card, I think, it's definitely an exciting one for sure. We have been building and building and building to this for quite a long time. Every card, I think, or every match really, I think, contributes to the card. We got a lot of names smushed onto this card, and this is definitely one of the most action jam-packed cards that I have had yet. 18 segments, including the pre-show, and 15 on the main card. 254 minutes of pure, unadulterated action with nearly an hour on the pre-show. Let's jump right into it. First match of the night is the U.S. title. That's right, you heard me correctly. The NWA United States heavyweight title was on the line, and Magnum TA won the title. And obviously here it says that these two were ineligible. That was a mistake on my end. I did notice that the weight restriction was middleweight. However, I did not think that would be... I guess these guys are cruiserweights. Two of our international superstars from south of the border. It is what it is there. Also, check this out. We're in the Superdome, ladies and gentlemen, or as Hulk would say, the Silver Dome. Regardless, we did not sell it out. We came 3,000 short, but this is by far, by and large, the biggest house that we have had yet. The industry and the economy is on its way up. It's still very low, all things considered, both below 50, but if it keeps going up for the remainder of the year, by WrestleMania 6, I don't think there will be a building that we can't sell out. But on to this card. Barry Windham had won the title off of Wahoo McDaniels. And just kind of two transitional champs in a row. Well, not quite. Wahoo came in with the title. Windham won it. Now Magnum has it to get it to a face. Magnum, I think, needed it because he's been kind of floundering, and hopefully this title will give him some substance to really grab a hold of and lead story moving forward. Here are all the competitors in the 10-man. Bam, Barry the champ, Brutus, Wagner, Valentine, Hector Guerrero of the famous Guerrero family, Herc, Magnum, Scott Hall, Barbarian, and the final elimination, obviously, Barry Windham. Before him, the Barbarian, and before him, Bam Bam, with the Barbarian accumulating the most eliminations in that Battle Royale. Then next we have a tag bout as the Road Warriors take on their longtime rivals, Demolition, and the Road Warriors will pick up the victory here. Didn't have, I could have changed the tag title bout to include these two. However, I just felt like these two kind of have more substance to their longtime rivalry, and we haven't seen a lot of them, so I thought I would give them their own spotlight albeit on the pre-show prior. And so far, the pre-show has been going very, very well. Definitely getting this crowd ready for over 4 hours of action. This is much like the modern product. And to finish out the pre-show, a slight stumble nonetheless. A good showing as Dynamite and Snuka close the pre-show. This was more wish fulfillment than anything. We had seen Snuka really perform well against the likes of Misawa, and Dynamite is clearly one of those competitors, those wrestlers who is a classic in-ring performer. Here we wanted to see what we could get between Snuka and Dynamite, add something to the legacy of both competitors. And while it didn't, absolutely knock it out of the park, it certainly did kind of what I had set it out to do. So no complaints there. Let's keep it rolling on to the main card. Here we have the WWF champ cutting a promo with footage overlay on top. He had won this very title last year, exactly 1 year ago, against Ted DiBiase, and now he looks to make it another great year starting here at WrestleMania 5. This is perhaps his biggest challenge yet. He won it over DiBiase last year, a great technician, a rich millionaire, and he seems to be in a similar situation this year. But if anyone has the momentum to roll past the NWA champ, it would be the Macho Man. And what a great way to start the card. And then we're going to roll that right into the Women's Championship bout as AJ Kong, the Women's Royal Rumble victor, defeats the undisputed, undefeated champ Bull Nakano, giving her her very first loss in the WWF. Here you will notice this isn't quite where I want the in-ring performance to be, especially with the top competitors in the women's division. However, felt like that should have been enough to throw it at least to like a 60 rating. But sometimes, it's almost like a coin flip. Sometimes the rating will be lower than both in-ring performances. Sometimes it'll top it. All things considered, this is what we get. And a big, big historic moment in my eyes that we change. It's somewhat of a changing of the guard. However, Bull is definitely going to be a main player in the women's division moving forward. But this is just cementing AJ Kong's position in the division as well. And that's why we had to pull the trigger on this match and give Kong a big marquee victory here. Definitely a historic moment for the WWF. And next we got The Undertaker going one-on-one with Jerry the King Lawler, and he will start his streak tonight. Was there any doubt? And look, we have great chemistry in these two. Great wrestling, decent reaction. I will take it, all things considered. Taker had been kind of giving these foreboding messages, and Paul Heyman, more or less, on his behalf, that he was going to be ending the career of a superstar here tonight, and it seems as though Lawler was his victim. Lawler definitely still has it in the ring. It's great to have these pay-per-appearance guys who can, you can kind of utilize in this fashion without crushing their in-ring performance. He can build popularity elsewhere, even if he takes a loss. So it all worked out, though, nonetheless, and Taker gets a big win. Hopefully this will continue to get the snowball rolling downhill, so to speak, give him some momentum, and improve his in-ring performance along the way. He's definitely still young in his journey. He hasn't even completed his first year here in WWF, but so far, so good. Next, we got Vince McMahon and R.I.P. Mean Gene Okerlund, as I like to call him. One of the all-time greats with, one of the forefathers of wrestling himself, Vinnie Mac. And they are going to go over the Money in the Bank stipulation. For those of you who have seen the last couple pay-per-views, you will have seen DiBiase had bought the Money in the Bank briefcase off of Mr. Perfect and tried to cash it in unsuccessfully against the Macho Man, which is definitely a huge thing. People saw how it could be utilized, but it also has not been established as a shoo-in for the title yet, which is definitely interesting moving forward. And the 6 competitors have yet to be named, but we will find out who they are very soon. But first, we have a classic match, actually. One of the better matches. Again, the rating drags below the in-ring performances, which is, I think, sometimes indicative of how good the rest of the card is. Maybe I'm just, I'm lying to myself. Who knows? But Funk crushes it. Jake still very much on the top. One of the top baby faces, rather. Funk is a freelancer, so, we've been trying to really utilize him to the best of his abilities for as long as we've had him, and I think we're probably about halfway through his stay here in the WWF, and this was a great way to use him. Superb wrestling, great heat, and Jake, he gets the win. Could have built a feud here between these two, but I just thought, screw it. Roberts could just use a big WrestleMania victory here, and I certainly think he got it. Falls Count Anywhere bout necessitated by the fact that Terry Funk pile drove Jake the Snake Roberts on the outside of the ring on the TVs following up, leading to Jake to challenge him to a stipulation such as this, which I think it's nice to kind of sprinkle in different type of bouts in matches like this, and we definitely have some variety here. I mean, not crazy variety, but good enough, I would say, where there is definitely a multitude of different types of matches, this being one of those, a Falls Count Anywhere bout, and Jake the Snake takes it home by submission. I'm going to have to, I think, modify his profile, because I'm not sure why the DDT isn't winning more bouts for him. Perhaps after he beat Bret Hart in a submission bout, he thought, man, I could do this, and just stuck with it ever since, but I don't think that's the case, full disclosure. But we move forward to the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is a slight step down from the match prior. Here are the competitors: Butch Reed, Tito Santana, Stan Hansen, Davey Boy, Adonis, and the living legend Larry Zbyszko. And a superb bout with good heat. Davey Boy Smith defeats all 5 competitors for that Money in the Bank briefcase, and we will have to see whether he can be the first to cash in that Money in the Bank and get some gold out of it. Butch Reed 86, Tito 81, Stan Hansen 88. Davey Boy was the in-ring performance low. Adonis 86, Larry 84. This was not only a great bout to incorporate talent that is often underutilized, but I felt like it was a great way to get Davey Boy over as a singles competitor. Whether that will be how we use him from here on out, who knows, because, him and Dynamite are both utilized better as a tag right now, but, with a push, things could change. So we're going to have to see, because the roster is probably at its peak right now, prior, and this is, I think, the announcement, but you might have been able to piece it together on your own, and I think especially that pre-match battle royale might have given it away. Big surprise here, but JCP has been bought out by WWF, and I have pillaged nearly all of their talent, or at least the majority of it. Butch Reed being one, the NWA United States Championship being another, Living Legend, Dusty Rhodes, and Ric Flair. I don't know whether I should have announced it here, but I think that it was starting to become semi-clear that was the case, especially with prolonged, repeated use of JCP members. There was I liked the mystique of it before, but they are a part of the roster, so that is definitely awesome for me. One of the first times this save has been one of the first times I've been able to do that, and in quick succession too. 1 month I get AJW, and then the next month I get JCP. So we are really rolling, and man, this has taken the death of the territories to a different level, because that was something that even the WWF didn't do in real life at this time. They were able to take down kind of some of the lighter territories, arguably, while JCP was, they were bought by WCW, which does exist now, and they are kind of floundering because I think that the sim was kind of built to have JCP be in a position to be bought right around when WCW came into creation. And it wasn't like I was trying to, manipulate the system. I just, for some reason, I was like, well, I should try to buy JCP, because I was really starting to get impatient with some of their signings, and I wanted them on the roster. So I was like, hey, after getting AJW, I was like, let's try JCP, and it worked. So I had to go through with it, without a doubt. But here we are. We're getting to utilize the talent, and Butch Reed and Larry Zbyszko are definitely fitting in quite well. It's nice to have people come in with their own popularity and be able to utilize them that way, which is pretty awesome. And here I feel like it helped the bout as a whole, and I think it will prove to be a big moment for Davey Boy. Here we have Hogan cutting a promo. Moving forward, obviously, if you look back, rather, Vader defeated Hogan at Royal Rumble, and then they have had matches in some form or fashion. They've brushed shoulders numerous times, whether it be in tag matches between the Mega Powers and the $1 Million Inc. They've definitely crossed paths numerous times, but after the attack at last pay-per-view by Taker and Vader, Hogan has had enough, and he challenged Vader to a cage match, a Nicolas Cage match. No, just a cage match. Pinfall, submission are the only means of victory, and this is going to be huge, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get to that, we have a tag fatal 4-way bout that absolutely knocks the socks off of maybe even any of the fabulous Freebird title bouts. Beautiful Bobby absolutely brings it. The Rock and Roll both bring it. Tully and Arn, the tightest tag by far, and then Sting is the performance of the bout, but that is not enough in this superb wrestling bout, as the Brain Busters are able to take it home. And I don't think it says it here in the... No, it does not. Sting was the one who was pinned, and Barry Windham, who just lost his title, was the man who interfered to give the Busters the victory in this elimination tag bout. Definitely an exciting bout. 97 so far the best, and that might hold up as the best bout of the night. Fingers crossed that it isn't, but it's awesome to see that the tag division has fully rebounded, and I have to say, I'm excited to see where the Brainbusters take it, and this is their first title reign, very much deserving, as they have been a staple of the tag division for so very long. And again, very excited to see where they take the tag division and what this means for the Blade Runners. I definitely think that it helped both Warrior and Sting. Could be wrong on that. We'll have to see how Warrior's singles competition, how his in-ring performance is moving away. He could very well be benefiting from the experience that he has with Sting. We'll see. Definitely something to keep in mind if they are to go into singles competition moving forward. And here we are, just a slight step downward, but it is a exceptional match where Hulk Hogan defeats Vader with a big leg drop, leaving the series at 1-1 for all interested parties. So perhaps this is not the last we see of these two, and Vader actually is the one who elevates the match to its match rating. Surprising to see Hogan at only a 92, but hey, it is what it is. Anything over a 90 is just gravy. Great bout, cage bout, and anytime you can get two competitors really knock it out of the park in a different stipulation match, such as a cage bout, you got to take it in full stride. Vader really showing off what has been a tremendous year so far. Now he has the distinction of being a tag champion, a King of the Ring winner, and he faces Hogan and has beat Hogan. Definitely a distinction that not very many people can say. Accolades not many have. Again, tremendous bout. Pretty cool rivalry, I would say. And these two, this definitely drew inspiration from their WCW rivalry and kind of predates it. But, this rivalry has put someone in Vader who is already really getting over and kind of put him over even more. And in this bout, it almost establishes him as one of the very top guys. He's in the discussion of like top 5, and I don't want to go any higher than that. Consistently, who knows whether Vader will be able to pull it off, every ring, night in, night out, which is what you do expect from a top 5 guy, but he certainly has the ability to put on bouts that very few others are capable of doing. Wow, and in the process puts Hogan back over to where he needs to be as a figurehead, and I think will help his journey even more, because we definitely, it's Hulk Hogan, and it's late 80s, and we're going into the early 90s at some point. You got to have plans with Hogan. So, all that being said, this bout really accomplished a lot of goals. So, we will move forward, and Misawa, what can't this guy do? He's legit number one daddy. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. The guy cuts promos that are 100 rating, and he puts on matches that are unmatched. Here, he has perhaps his biggest challenge. We've seen him able to defeat every single comer one-on-one so far, but tonight he has 5 other competitors. Certainly his largest challenge yet, but if anyone can do it, it would have to be Misawa. And I think we are jumping right into that bout, and we are, and this is an 4 3/4 stars, bordering on 5 stars, an exceptional match. Harley Race, Brad Rennigans, who has been killing it as of recently, Roddy Piper, one of the pillars of the WWF. Steamboat, another pillar. Bret Hart, the up-and-comer, and Misawa put on, I will say, a 5-star bout. You can argue me on that, but when it gets to 99, it's a 5-star bout. Misawa has the performance of the night. Bret, very solid, 88. Steamboat, 90. Piper, 93. No surprise there. Brad Renigan's 87. And Harley Race, 89. Somewhere in the middle, but hey, he takes the belt home. I have been talking about this multiple times. First and foremost, not that the bout itself, but if you do recall, and this was, I can't remember the number exactly, but this was the WrestleMania that had Sting against Triple H and was headlined by Brock v. Roman 1, the outdoor stadium, the one in Candlestick Stadium, I believe. It was a 6-man ladder match, okay, and I think it was kind of to replace the Money in the Bank match. This is a 6-man elimination bout with 6 of the best performers on the roster, perhaps, debatably, with very different styles. And I was like, look, you have to do it. Harley has been a linchpin member of this roster, and he has no accolades to show for it. And even though Misawa is showing just what we have been able to see from Vader, I mean, I felt like if I didn't pull the trigger now with Harley, then I would never be able to. And I wanted him to go down in the record books and really leave his thumbprint on this show. And yes, he has all these great bouts, great rivalries, great stories he's been able to tell, but I feel like you are not doing him correctly if you don't give him some type of accolade. So I thought, let's put on one of the best bouts we can put on, and clearly this was able to accomplish that. And let's give Harley Race that title reign and title win that he deserves. So we're going to see what we're able to accomplish with Harley. He certainly isn't at the heights that we have seen him. When he first came in, his first bout wasn't great, but his second pay-per-view match against Hogan was tremendous. He is able to do great things when working at or near the top, and I think if we give him the proper build and push, his IC title reign can rival that of Misawa, Piper's, some of the greats that we have had hold it. So we'll have to see, and it is honestly with a heavy heart that I take the title off of Misawa. He did nothing wrong to lose the title, but as I said, it was time to give Harley the belt. And it leads to see, is Misawa going to get the title back? Who knows? But I think this leaves a lot of questions to see where all of these guys go moving forward, and also while putting them in a huge bout, giving them definitely a WrestleMania moment. But let me go over the order of the elimination because it was a 6-man elimination bout. Brad Renegans was eliminated first, then Bret, then Piper, then Steamboat, then Misawa. The champ was nearly able to withstand 5 other competitors, but Harley was just somehow he battled through for 30 minutes and 26 seconds to win the title for the very first time. And then here, this is the co-main event. We have seen Dusty and DiBiase kind of feuding for the last perhaps 3 or more months. And he has issue with DiBiase because DiBiase has issue with him. DiBiase wants these JCP people gone, and Dusty is kind of the face of the face JCP members. So he's the mouth and the face. DiBiase wants them gone, and Dusty said, look, if you defeat me, that'll be one less JCP member. I will be gone from WWF. And DiBiase leapt at that opportunity. However, Dusty Rhodes is able to defeat DiBiase, and they both put on an exceptional performance. 92 by Dusty, 94 by DiBiase, but Dusty is the one who gets the win with a bionic elbow, and so far this card has been absolutely electric. But there is one more match, ladies and gents, and I think it has definitely been a match that everyone has been or should have been looking forward to since the Rumble, and that is Flair versus Savage for the title. However, Flair is putting his NWA title on the line against Savage as well. Savage said, look, let's make it interesting. You put your title on the line, I'll put mine on the line as well. There was really no doubt that the WWF heavyweight title was going to be on the line, but Flair was talking mad smack as only he can. And Savage kind of goaded him into putting his title on the line, putting his money where his mouth is, so to speak. And here, Flair is cutting a promo as only he can. There's no doubt about it. Savage and Flair are at the very top of the industry. They can cut promos like no one else. They can wrestle like no one else. This main event, perhaps you could say, was rushed. I would be likely to concede that point, but I felt like the time was right. It was the perfect storm. We got JCP in the door, and now, these guys, they are in their primes at this point. I mean, it just makes sense. While Hogan and Savage headlining could have been tremendous, I felt like there was more story to tell for Savage's reign. It would have been interesting to have him turn during his title reign, which was definitely what I had planned prior, but Flair changes everything, and you will see that here, and my goodness, they don't click at all, and it showed in their performance. Wow, I mean, that is a gut shot, without a doubt. The main event tanks. Wow, I mean, that's sometimes you get a bad beat, but man, that is disappointing without a doubt. I thought this was going to be a 100 rating to close what has been one of the best pay-per-views we have had. Nonetheless, these things happen every once in a while, and it makes the game interesting. Definitely a disappointing way to find out. It was a once-in-a-lifetime goal. That was the road note. Fantastic heat, great wrestling, but they don't click. Whatever. Nonetheless, the Royal Rumble winner, Ric Flair, wins the WWF Heavyweight title and retains the NWA Heavyweight title. Still, no regret. Hogan and Savage definitely would have worked, but Flair or Hulk and Savage would have definitely worked. But Flair and Savage made the most sense to me. And they would have killed it. I mean, at WrestleMania 8, that was the bout that everyone was looking forward to. And yes, Hogan and Flair was probably what more people wanted at that time. It's not off the table yet. That could still very well happen. Flair definitely has a long line of people who will be knocking at his door to get that title. Disappointing, yes, but I don't think it'll kill this WrestleMania. I still expect a 90 rating or higher. 88. Yeah, it is what it is. Definitely deserved better. Bad chemistry. It is what it is. At least we know that moving forward. This is still, in my mind, one of the best WrestleManias we have had. Great ratings throughout the board, and it just kept building and building and building, and this very well should have been a 100 rating in my eyes. That's kind of BS, but I won't hamper on it too much. But moving forward, man, we got a lot of stories that are they just kind of hit the most interesting point, but definitely not a conclusive finish to a lot of these rivalries. So we'll have to see where they move or where they go moving forward. Again, thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you're not as disappointed as I am, especially with that finish. All things considered, I thought it was a good pay-per-view. And you know the spiel. Like and subscribe, comment with your thoughts or feelings, and I will catch you on the flippity flute.